Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. We're here, as we always are, in our special Wednesday segment with Coach Q of Syracuse Orange women's basketball. It happens every single Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we appreciate the fact that Q spends some time here with us and gives us these moments to share about the women's basketball program and so much more. So with that being said, we bring Q into the show. Coach, how are we doing today?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing very well. And Q, I kind of just broke the news to you that I was doing an event at the PressRoom Pub. We do trivia every Tuesday at 7 o'clock there in downtown Syracuse. And one of the teams playing trivia came up to me and said, you know, you do the show with Coach Q? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, what do you do? I said, we come here every month. And they said, man, we love his style. His style is awesome. So,
hey, listen, I try to put on my best clothes and come to work. That's all I do, man. That's it.
And you still have to dress me for the day, so we got to figure out what we're doing for that.
Oh, I'm all down for that. We definitely gotta figure that out.
So getting into the season here and into the thick of things right now, obviously we're stepping into February, and then March will mark the end of the regular season and going into the ACC tournament. Where is the team at right now, in your opinion? What can you say about where the Syracuse women's basketball team currently is sitting in your mind, as you know that, you know, sooner than later you're going to be in tournament time?
We're in a good place, man. I mean, when you look at the overall body of work of the year, having a top 6 RPI, and top 10 always has been in top 10 RPI and top 6 or 7 strength of schedule. That's where you want to be. You know, at the end of the day, it's about nothing more than just trying to get your team better and trying to prepare for the postseason. And for us, you know, we're just trying to just continue to play hard, do the things that we do well, and keep our kids fully engaged.
And when you look at, you know, doing the things that you do well, what would be some of those pillars, some of those pieces that you would say at this point in the season are the things that you do the best currently?
Well, I think it's just creating a tempo and creating pace. You know, that's pretty much what we're all about. We want to play fast. We want to make our opponents play fast, because a lot of teams don't practice that way. So if you don't practice that way, there's no way you can play that way. And also too, just to make sure that we're concentrating on just execution, and we're doing a better job of executing our offense and not blowing assignments on defense, and that's what it's all about.
So you look at where the team is at right now. You lost a couple here to Georgia Tech on the road and lost to Miami, number 23 ranked team in the country in certain polls here. What did you take away from these two losses? I know that you and I had spoken about, you know, what the team had been doing and about the 9-game winning streak. We spoke about Georgia Tech a little bit when we did our live show at PressRoom Pub, but the two losses in a row, what did you take away from those two?
Well, it was a couple of things. I think the first thing that I really took away was we can play bad, quote unquote, and still be in a game. A lot of teams can't do that. When they play bad, it's just bad. You know, you get blown out. And we were shooting 20-some-odd% in games and still being in the game. And that's rare. It really is. And from that standpoint, we know that we can not play our best basketball and still have a chance to win games, and that's very encouraging. Not that you want to play bad, but they're nice when you're just not going to make shots, and you know that you're 1 or 2 possessions away from still winning the game.
And when you look at that situation, like in the Miami game, where you did have a rough shooting night, 28 of 77 overall, 36%, and then 5 of 32 from three-point range, which was 15.6%. Just what you could say about that, because like you said, there's going to be rough shooting nights, but you know, your team was still within, you know, 13 at the end of things here. Just what your takeaways were from that game specifically.
Well, it was real simple for me. You know, we cut it down to 2 points, shooting that bad, shooting that poorly up on the field. So for us, it's just about executing down the stretch and making a few more plays here and there to win the game. Like I said, it's very rare that you can play that way and even be in games, and we're in every game, no matter how we're shooting the ball. So we're doing a lot of other things well, obviously.
And when you look at, these pieces, speaking here with Coach Q, Quentin Hillsman, head coach of the Syracuse Orange women's basketball team, you look at how the team got back onto it and back to the winning side of things at Duke, 64-55. This is another one that you gutted out. You won this game by 9 points. Bring me into that Duke game and what you did on the road in Durham.
Well, the Duke game, it was definitely a tough game for us, and we understood how urgent that game was. We had to win that game to stay in the top of the conference and to be able to be in a situation to where we knew we could still get double buys in the tournament and things of that nature. So we just wanted to come out and win the game, and we started off shooting poorly, but our team really responded and came back and played well in that second half. And in the third quarter, it was a monster third quarter. So I was really pleased with their effort.
And when you, like you said, you had to stay, in the top of the conference here. That was a big-time game. How did, the women on this team gut it out? Just what you saw from them to do what they needed to do? Because, you take that skid, you take the loss to Georgia Tech. It's your first loss in the ACC. And at the same time, it breaks a 9-game winning streak. And then you lose the game right after. So how did they stop the skid? What did you see from them to stop that? The continuation of a loss becoming another loss.
It was just toughness, just a will to compete, and that's what they did. They really came out and just played hard. And anytime your team can respond like that and come into a game and really just gut it out and play hard and doing the things that they had to do to win the game, I just knew that from that point there was some growth in our team.
And we're looking at the standings right now. At the current time that we're talking here, Coach, NC State is 7-0 in the conference, the only undefeated team. Louisville is 7-1. Notre Dame, Miami are 6-1, and then you and Florida State are 5-2, along with Clemson. Just what you could say about the top of this conference right now, and even some thoughts on NC State, who I know you got coming up, who is currently undefeated.
Well, obviously, West is doing a great job at NC State, and to be honest, when you think about winning, it's tough to win every game. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care what level you're playing at. And he's doing a fantastic job with his team, obviously being undefeated. It's just the best conference in the country. If you look top to bottom, and you look at the RPIs and strength of schedules and things of that nature, it's the best conference in the country. Clemson, Pitt, Boston College have been the teams that were struggling aren't struggling anymore. I mean, they're playing well. So every night you got to come out and be ready to play, and that's what's important in our conference, to come out every night and ready to play just like our opponents are.
And we look at this conference, what you have coming up, Q. You have a game on the road February 7th on a Thursday at Louisville, but before that you have Virginia at home, and you have, after that, 5 games at home. So 5 of your next 6 games are going to be at home. Well, I should say 6 of your next 7 games are going to be at home. You have 5 in a row, and then you have that Louisville one right before that and Virginia at home before that. Just what you could say about having 6 of 7 of your next games inside of the Carrier Dome and only having to leave to go to Louisville, Kentucky once inside of this whole thing, knowing that you're going to have a nice home stint here in the thick of things toward the end of the regular season.
Well, it's great. I mean, you want to be in that position to where you're able to really, control your own destiny, and I really believe that we are. We have a lot of tough games left, but obviously we understand that playing at home is important for us, and we want to, continue to play at home and continue to protect our home court. Obviously we dropped one to Miami at home, but we made up for it by being 4-1 on the road, and that's important.
And seeing how this team has played on the road as well as on neutral ground, just what you can say before we wrap up here, Coach, about how you've seen this team play away from home, because that's going to be ever important as you move forward.
Fantastic. I mean, whenever you can get road wins, it's really a good thing to have, because those are wins that you normally don't get in these power conferences. Even you look at Virginia last night playing NC State men. I mean, that's an overtime win. And not to the NC State men aren't a great team, because Coach Keith is doing a good job down there. But at the end of the day, you're talking about a top 3 team in the country in every poll, going on the road and going to overtime, and pretty much NC State having a chance to tie the game up with 3 free throws at the end. That's what kind of conference this is. That's what kind of level this is on both sides.
And when you look at the inside game of it all, I know you've had a couple tough shooting nights, and they led to losses against Georgia Tech on the road and Miami at home. What can you say about inside play, and if you feel like you're getting enough from there, or if you're seeing maybe an uptick in that in practice and whatnot, knowing that you may have to lean on it a little bit more if those shooting nights continue?
Oh, they're doing great. I mean, our post players are still young. I think a lot of people, look at that. We have sophomore and freshman post players in the best conference in the country. So we got to make sure that we continue them and have them grow and have them to get game experience, which they are. They're thrown into the fire every night, and they're doing a fantastic job. That
coming from Coach Q. Coach, last question, last piece for today's show. How are you staying warm out there when it's 9 degrees, negative, whatever? How are you holding up right now?
Keep those same boots and that same warm coat by the door and put them on every day and go to work. That's the truth. I've learned that being here now for 13, 14 years that you got to just go have your go-to gear and keep it by the door. You never know.
Yeah, that's what, I did it in elementary school at Our Lady of Pompeii, and I still do it today. Boots by the door and jacket ready to go.
As you should.
That coming from Coach Q and the Syracuse Orange women's basketball team. Make sure you go out and see them this week. They're going to be at home January 31st against Virginia. That'll be at 7 p.m., and then they'll be on the road for 1 and back for 5, and you'll be able to see them all the way leading up to that Notre Dame game on February 25th against one of the top teams in the nation. Coach, as always, thank you for all you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing for this community, and we look forward to speaking with you soon after a couple victories here.
It's my pleasure. Enjoy doing it. Thank you.